All right. If you've ever had to write an academic paper, you know all about MLA in-text citations. Now, they might seem like just another tedious rule you have to follow, but trust me, getting them right is one of the most important skills you can have. It's really what separates a good paper from a great one. And let's be real, this is the question we've all asked ourselves, probably at 2 a.m. with a deadline looming. It can feel like such a chore, right? Just a bunch of parentheses and page numbers cluttering up your beautiful sentences. So why do we even bother? Well, here's the thing. It's not just a role, it's actually an invitation. When you cite your sources, you're doing so much more than just avoiding plagiarism. You're showing your reader, hey, I've done my homework. You're building on the ideas of others, and you're officially stepping into the big academic conversation. It's how you build credibility and show respect for all the work that came before you. So, how do we do it? Let's start with the absolute foundation. The entire MLA system, and I mean all of it, is built on one simple idea, the author page style. If you can get this one concept down, you're honestly 90% of the way there.
This brings us to the main event, the parenthetical citation. The best way to think about it is like a little signpost that you stick right inside your sentence. Its only job is to be super brief and point your reader to the full source on your works cited page. It's the direct link between what you're arguing and the proof you're using.
And check out the flexibility you have here. On the left, you can see the author, Wordsworth, is already named right in the sentence, so the citation just needs the page number. Easy. But on the right, his name isn't in the sentence, so the citation needs both his name and the page number. See? Same information, just two different ways to do it. You just pick whichever one sounds better in your sentence. Okay, so the basic rule is pretty simple. But let's face it, research is messy and sources are not always neat and tidy. This next part is all about tackling those what-if questions that always seem to pop up when you're on a deadline. First up, a classic. You find the perfect quote in the perfect article to back up your point, but it has more than one author. How do you handle 2, 3, or even more names? Luckily, the solution is really straightforward. For 2 authors, you just list both of their last names, like this. But for 3 or more authors, it gets even easier. You just list the first author's last name and then add e et al. That's just a little Latin phrase that means and others. It keeps your citation from getting way too long and clunky. Okay, here's another one you've probably run into, especially with online stuff. You find a great web page from a big organization, but there's no single author listed anywhere. What in the world do you put in the parentheses then? The rule here is actually super logical. Since there's no author, you just move to the next piece of info that can identify the source, its title. You don't have to use the whole thing, just a shortened version that's easy to spot. Here's a perfect example. Let's say the full article title is something long, like The Devastating Impact of Global Warming in North America. You can just shorten that to Impact of Global Warming and put it in quotes. That's more than enough to point your reader to the right spot on the works cited page. Now, this happens all the time, especially when you're focusing on one specific expert in a field. You might be using 2 or 3 different books or articles by the exact same person. So if you just put their last name, how will your reader know which one you're talking about? The fix is simple. You just add one more piece of information. Inside the parentheses, you include a shortened version of the title. So here, using too soon and hand-eye development makes it crystal clear exactly which of Leitner's articles is being quoted at that moment. No confusion. All right, let's dive into the digital world, because let's be honest, this is where most of our citation questions come from these days. We're not just citing books anymore. We're citing websites, YouTube videos, and podcasts. The basic rules are the same, but how we apply them is a little different. This is it. This is probably the #1 question I hear about MLA today. You find an amazing online article. You've got the perfect quote. But then you look and there are no page numbers. So what do you do? Do you start counting paragraphs? Do you just make something up? The answer is so much simpler than you think. You just leave the page number out. That's it. Remember, the main job of the citation is to point to the work's cited entry. The author's name, Garland Thompson, does that all by itself. If the source doesn't have page numbers, then your citation shouldn't either. That's the key takeaway here. No page number? No problem. You never want to invent information that isn't actually there. Your goal is to accurately show where you got your info. So for most online sources, just the author's name is all you're going to need. But what about stuff that doesn't have pages at all, but instead has a runtime, like a video or a podcast? How do you point to a specific moment? You still need to show your reader exactly where you found that quote or idea. The solution is actually pretty cool. Instead of a page number, you use a timestamp. You just format it as hours, minutes, and seconds. In this example from a TV episode called Hush, the timestamp tells the reader that this exact quote happens right around the 3-minute, 16-second mark. It's super precise. So it really just breaks down into 2 simple steps. First, you identify the source, usually with its title. Then, you pinpoint the exact spot with a time range. This little trick works for any time-based media. Videos, podcasts, you name it. It's basically the modern version of a page number. Okay, let's pull back and look at the big picture for a second. We've been focusing on these little parenthetical citations, but they're really only one half of the story. Their entire reason for existing is to connect to one thing, your works cited page. And this right here is the aha moment. This is where it all clicks. That tiny little signpost in your text on the left is a direct, unbreakable link to the full source information on the right. Wordsworth 263 is all your reader needs to find the complete entry on the works cited page. And that's the whole system in a nutshell. A brief pointer in the text and the full details at the end. They're a team. Now, none of these rules are just made up. They all come directly from the official MLA guidelines. And these are documented by amazing free resources like the Purdue Online Writing Lab, which most people just call the Purdue OWL. Seriously, for any writer, this website is an absolute lifesaver. So in the end, in-text citation isn't some barrier designed to frustrate you. It's a key. It's the skill that lets you build on the ideas of others, present your own arguments with real authority, and add your unique voice to the ongoing academic conversation. So the only question left is, what conversation are you going to join?